We should be streaming.
Streaming? I just saw something. I just saw something funny as all of the world's problems can be traced back to paper straws. Not sports related, but I hate those freaking things. And that one got me. Oh my God. And away we go. Off we are. Here we are.
I got to remember to hit the record button.
Definitely.
But before we do that, I mean, we're only 2 subscribers on YouTube away from hitting 25 subscribers. I mean, it's not much. But I'm sure there's 2 of you out there. If you happen to tune in, hit the little subscribe button. Hit the little thumbs up button. It's free. Don't cost anything. Doesn't take any time.
I mean, there was a time where we were only 2 away from having 2 subscribers. So,
I know, right?
You know, we're progressing in the right direction.
Right?
It's when people start to unsubscribe that you got to really look in the mirror and be like, all right, what am I doing?
Nobody's unsubscribed yet, so I think we got to be doing something positive. So we're still going in a good direction. Speaking of positive,
but you got to make sure that you like, that you share, that you subscribe, share again.
Do all those free fun things.
Let your friends and family know about it. Like Erich just mentioned, it's free.
We talk fun things here. We really don't get, you know.
Nobody talks more
news,
NBA than us.
No news, no politics.
No religion.
No nonsense.
We keep it how it used to be, right? Like, remember when you went to family gatherings? I always said, you don't talk politics, you don't talk religion. That's how we keep this show. We're here for fun. We're here to enjoy our time. Let those that are watching and listening enjoy themselves.
And while they're doing that, like, subscribe, follow, and share.
Oh, by the way, I also now have earned another tortilla slap on you, by the way. But with the, not shellacking, but I kind of gave it to you this week in fantasy football. So that was fun. And gave the undefeated Dudes League member, the last remaining undefeated team, his first L of the year. And I got to be honest, it felt pretty good. I didn't even care about the tortilla slap. I just wanted to get
the other one,
0.
I heard I'm 6-0.
Did you beat me in that one? I don't think we played yet.
I don't think we played yet, but I'm 6-0 in that one. And to be honest,
change that for you too.
I'm in 4 leagues. I'm 6-0 in 2, 4-2 in 1, and I am or 5-1, and then I'm 3-3 in the other. But the one I'm 3-3, it's one with 3 4-team divisions, and in my 4-team division, we're all 3-3.
Okay, so you're right there in the playoff race in your division. I got you. In my 3 leagues, I'm either second or third in every single league. So I'm in a good spot 6 weeks through. Need guys to stay healthy. Losing Nico Collins for a couple weeks, that one sucked because he was just basically a guaranteed 15 points a week. But it's all good. We're about positive and happy vibes today. It's Wednesday. The only thing about today and tonight's show that sucks is that our boy Joey ain't with us. Joey had to work. Couldn't do it last night because Joey was a little under the weather. So hopefully he's feeling better. Joey's making his money right now, and we'll look forward to the 3 of us being back together
next week.
Woo! And then I do gotta give it. I mean, this is a hell of a advance notice. I didn't even tell my boss yet, but Tuesday, November, I think it's the 19th. I will not be here. I'll be flying home from Austin, Texas. Shout out to my boy Storms. We'll be going out there to celebrate his 40th birthday.
Nice.
It'll be the 27th birthday in a row that I've been with this kid.
There you go.
We started celebrating birthdays when we were 13 years old, and here we are getting ready to celebrate his 40th, and mine is...
it's a big one. It's a milestone. You know, anytime you hit the milestones, it's worth celebrating.
You got it. I think every birthday is worth celebrating. I'm sorry, because I look at it like this, right? I didn't ask to be here. There are people that, don't make it this far, and you got to enjoy your birthdays. You got to enjoy that one day of the year where you get to make it about you.
You do.
Just one day out of the year, your friends, your family, yourself. You get to have it just be about you. So if you're like, I just want to sit here, be left alone, not see anybody, not talk to anybody. I just want to play my video games and have a drink. You get to do that.
Yep.
Right. Unless you're married, that might be different. I'm not married, so I don't know. The married rule does kind of trump anything else. Like, it's kind of like, hey, if the wife wants to do something, you're doing it. So, happy wife, happy life, right?
That's the way to live.
Let them know, right?
I think every man knows happy wife, happy life. So, I mean, that's a given. But
you know who wasn't living a happy life though?
Hold on, wait. Before I didn't.
Oh, you didn't even hit record. Oh,
because we've been just talking.
We're just doing our. All right,
I didn't even do it. The good to be back yet.
YouTube.
This is just strictly for the live stream. They get a little extra.
I was kind of wondering why the music came back on. I didn't realize.
I was trying to give you the cue of the. But again, we were talking, we were ripping. It happens. Sometimes the live stream gets a little extra.
And that's what they get because they're watching us live, and as long as they like and they subscribe and they share, they can get these special moments just to themselves.
And have fun with us.
Exactly. Let's go.
Dance hours, by the way. It's good to be back.
So good to be back.
Good to be back with my friend, Mr. David Hastings.
Mr. Erich Treslar.
Yeah, we are here tonight.
Invisible Mr. Joey D.
Unfortunately,
he's here with us in spirit.
A little under the weather today.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Back and better than ever next week, so we're going to have a very enthusiastic it's good to be back next week.
I think so.
When we have Joey with us. We're going to have a very enthusiastic. Though I got to say, for those that are watching, it is very nice to have access to the lovely green microphone.
The green setup.
And also, we didn't have to worry about dimming the lights since I'm not sitting directly under them and shining like an angel. Though my tan game has looked amazing the last couple weeks, so I
try for you, man. I've been trying to get better and better with the lighting.
You would have thought
little by little we're getting there.
Yeah, you would have thought I got a spray tan the way that tan be looking. So I do. I'll give you a pound for that, my man. I gotta give you a pound.
But now you got the green microphone, which I mean I think that's where we're gonna start tonight, right? I think that's where you want to start with the green machine.
I think green's a very appropriate color to kind of kick this show off. It just broke, I believe, yesterday was when the news broke. Right, we were planning to do the show yesterday. So breaks yesterday that Davante Adams is being traded to the New York Jets for a conditional third-round pick, which basically, I don't know all the ins and outs of the conditions, but basically plays enough snaps, certain stats, team performs a certain way, whatever the little fine language is in there, could potentially turn into a second-round pick. And I'll tell you right now, there's not a Jet fan in this world that wouldn't give up a second-round pick if this trade maybe makes the difference. But I can personally say I don't think it makes...
Get some help.
Already we you.
So, I was going to say, I don't think it makes the difference. I think the team we saw on Monday, outside of the poor field goal kicking, is basically the team that they have. They were moving the ball for the most part against what is considered a pretty damn good defense. They couldn't finish in the red zone. They couldn't get a first and goal on the one, ran into the end zone. Second and goal on the one, ran into the end zone. Then they got a false start penalty. So then they couldn't throw it into the end zone on 3rd and 6. Though I do think Buffalo might have snuck away with a pass interference. Debatable. But either way, the game itself isn't really the overall story of what we're looking at, right? The game is just part of it. What we're looking at is the fact that this team struggles in pass protection. They're struggling with a consistent running game, especially in short yardage, which is just embarrassing. And I think that this makes them a little bit better, but I think this just continues to prove it's the Aaron Rodgers show. So I know you've got some things you kind of want to get off your chest. You're not even a Jets fan. So if you got things that are sitting on your chest that you need to get off, it lets you know that there's an opinion that is about to come. And I would like to allow you to share that opinion.
My opinion is, like, Woody Johnson has to have his head examined at this point, because I get it. You've turned everything over to Rodgers. You've done everything you could for this guy. You've fired the coach. Everybody is bent over backwards to make Aaron Rodgers and appease Aaron Rodgers. I'm over Aaron Rodgers. He sucks. He's not that good. This isn't Aaron Rodgers from 2011, 2012, 2009. This isn't Aaron Rodgers near his prime. This is below league average Aaron Rodgers. He is not good. And I'm sorry, but adding a Davante Adams, which is only going to, you've already seen it pissed Mike Williams off, because he not only did he throw Mike Williams under the bus, pretty much saying that he ran the wrong route, whatever. You never do that shit in public. Ever. And you throw one of your receivers, who was probably supposed to be your number 2 receiver, under the bus completely, ran him over to the point where he didn't even want to show up to the facility today. Then, On top of that, now you've gotten Davante Adams. You already know Allen Lazard is going to be the number 2. Where's that put Wilson? A guy who won Rookie of the Year with nobody throwing to him. He had garbage as a QB, and he won Rookie of the Year offensively. He's a talent. He's a first-round talent, which, by the way, Davante Adams wasn't drafted in the first round. Allen Lazard wasn't drafted in the first round. Aaron Rodgers never thrown a touchdown pass to a first-round receiver ever in his career until he met Garrett Wilson. And what you're going to do is take that and throw it out the window? Like, you're gonna take a young talent like that and pretty much make it impossible for the Jets to re-sign him. So the Jets are gonna lose that talent. You have an aging Rodgers, you have an aging Adams, you have an aging Lazard, and they're not running the ball nearly enough. They ran it 21 times and threw it 35. Why are you throwing the ball? It should be reversed. Why are you throwing the ball? And he had 113 yards on 18 carries, Breece Hall. Why are you not feeding that man the ball?
Best game of his season. Overall, I mean,
Instead, you got 6 receptions to Allen Lazard. I'm sorry, but Allen Lazard was the 3rd best receiver 4 years ago in Green Bay. How is he the Jets' number 1 right now? And he shouldn't be. But he is, because Aaron Rodgers only trusts his guys. Well, guess what? It's been a long time since Aaron Rodgers and his guys have been any good. It's been a long time since Aaron Rodgers has won a playoff game. What was the last big game Rodgers has actually won? So why do we keep just throwing? It's like throwing good money after bad. It's not going to get any better. I'm sorry, Davante Adams does not move the needle. If anything, it makes it worse because it's going to cause a bigger divide in that locker room. When you piss off every young star because Breece Hall isn't getting fed the ball, Garrett Wilson's getting knocked down the pecking order, you're pissing off everybody. It's for what reason? You didn't show up to OTAs. You didn't care about the team in the offseason. You went on vacations to Egypt. You know what I mean? Like, instead of putting in the work. And then this is what you do. You've now brought in, which, by the way, nobody's really surprised that he brings in Davante Adams. No. But to me, I don't understand what Woody Johnson's doing here. Because at some point, probably after next year, because why would Rodgers turn down the money? He's going to come back and pick up the check. He's not going to turn it down. Not going to turn down another 30-something million, 37 million, 37.5 million, whatever it is. He's not turning it down. I'm sorry to say. He's not retiring. He may think Jet fans may think he might, but he's not. And he is not any good, and this team will not win with him. And the more they, pretty much appease him, the bigger the divide is going to be in that locker room, and the worse this team is going to be off. So I actually think, in a way, this makes this trade even worse and makes the Jets a little bit worse even. How do you pick up a talent like Davante Adams and even be considered, like, worse? But I do. I consider them because I think it creates a bigger divide in that locker room, and I will die on that hill.
So I will definitely agree with you on the divide. I will definitely agree with you on the fact that this is basically Aaron Rodgers' team and Woody Johnson's just handing it over to him, saying, here, do what you got to do. We'll get you what you want. Just want to keep you happy. But Aaron Rodgers had moments and flashes from what I watched on Monday night that were Rodger-esque. The one throw he had to Lazard where he basically hugged the defender's hip. I don't know if I've ever seen a throw like that. He still got the Hail Mary bomb off. Cool. I can't agree with you on Garrett Wilson falling down to the number 3. I mean, even looking at the stats, he led the team in targets. He led the team in receptions. He just didn't have the yardage because Lazard was the one that caught the Hail Mary for 52 yards. Outside of that, Wilson was still your leader on the team when it came down to receptions and targets. And if you get rid of that 152-yard touchdown, now you're looking at Lazard with 5 catches for 62 yards on 6 targets. Like, that's not really anything spectacular compared to Wilson with 8 for 107 in the touchdown. Either way, though.
In a big moment, who's he going to?
In a big moment, that's the problem.
In a big moment, he's going to Lazard. That's what I mean. Is you could tell me that
yes, I agree.
A number 2 on a team could get more receptions. That's okay. He could have more targets. He's talented, but at the same time, when the game is on the line, instead of getting it to your most talented player, we're getting it to Allen Lazard instead. That's my gripe.
Who led the league in drops last year and is definitely doing better with that this season. But I will completely agree with you that the atmosphere.
Mike Williams, 3 targets, nothing else. Like, he's a talent. They went out and signed him, and you don't eat. Like, if I'm him, I'm not showing up either. Like, why? I don't want to be a part of the Aaron Rodgers Jets.
Yeah,
it's not the New York Jets. It's the Aaron Rodgers Jets.
Mike Williams would have every right to ask for a trade and want to get the hell out of there. He would have every single right to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I do think overall, it's an Aaron Rodgers team that they're putting all their eggs in one bucket, and they're praying to God that Rodgers can figure out a way to lead them to a Super Bowl, which there's not much in his past 6-7 years of his playing career to make you think that that's going to happen. He can still throw one of the best balls in the league, but he's not a team player. He's not a team first guy. He's about me, 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 and me. And there's no sport where that is more detrimental than football. So I definitely think that look, Davante Adams is going to be happy. Rodgers is going to be happy. Some Jets fans are happy. Some Jets fans aren't happy. The loss hurts them in the fact that, now they're 2 games behind or 2.5 technically with the tiebreaker of the division loss. Now they're technically 2.5 back in the division. They're a little back in the AFC when it comes down to standings, but nobody in the AFC is really running away with the conference right now either, other than Kansas City, which most people expect anyway. But ironically enough, we're in a position where we're talking about the trade of Davante Adams to the Jets after Monday night's game. Well, the Bills came out with the win.
One more thing real quick, only because Carl threw it into the live chat, and I got to throw it out there. Shout out to Carl on the live chat.
Shout out, Carl.
Collusion. You know me. I called it out years ago when that BS trade between San Fran and the Ravens went on with Anquan Bolden. I'm calling it here. We all knew where Davante Adams wanted to go, what Aaron Rodgers wanted. You can't tell me that there wasn't some kind of collusion here, because there was nobody else that was going to make that trade. There was no other team I don't think he was willing to go to. And I have to believe there was some collusion here where Rodgers got on the phone and said, you do what you got to do on your end. I'm going to do what I got to do on my end, and we're going to make this happen. And they each went to their respective people and said, this is what's happening.
Well, I mean, honestly, I really can't argue with you on that. Louis adding his 2 cents as well. If you guys are picking him up in the background, Louis wants to add his 2 cents as well. By
the way, Amazon drivers who ring the doorbell.
There's no reason.
Listen, I think you should get I should be able to have a little buzzer in there that shocks you if you're that dumb. Come on.
I'll give you the collusion part, because Davante Adams today was already at one Jets drive in Florham Park.
By the way,
already has his own shoe.
Stayed at Rodgers' house because apparently he couldn't find a place to stay here, and drove to the facility with Rodgers.
Already has his own shoe with the Jets colors. So the collusion aspect of it, my friend, I really have a hard time arguing with you on that one. I would have to dig deep into my brain, which is not something I do very often, and it's not going to start tonight, to argue that point, especially with.
By the way, we just got a thumbs up on.
Let's go, baby. To think it's not some level of collusion. To think there's not.
Because you're holding your thumb like this in the picture, it's giving thumbs up.
I love these YouTube effects. But no, seriously, I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking that. Whether the ownership groups or the general managers were talking behind the scenes in a way that they weren't supposed to, I don't know that part. But I, without a doubt, believe the fact that Adams and his agent talked with the Raiders GM and the ownership and Rodgers and his agent. I don't even think Rodgers needs his agent. Rodgers just called Woody and was like, make it happen. So I think that is extremely fair to say and extremely fair to assume. But I just...
Yeah, normally I put my tinfoil hat on first, but shout out to Carl on that, because Carl pulled his tinfoil hat out. And went bam.
I mean, I feel like you usually have your tinfoil hat right there to grab, and it's just boom, you're good to go. So, do you not like the position?
No.
Anyway.
The whole thing. Gotcha.
But yeah, so completely. It's hard to believe that something along those lines did not take place.
Oh, absolutely.
Very hard to believe. But again, right, we're talking about this Monday night game and the Jets losing and what, that hurts their season and where they're at with that. So they make this move for Davante. But Buffalo comes out with a big win on the road and still realizes that they need help. That they're still not, like, their rookie running back who made his first career start was their best player on Monday night. And I'm not saying the kid doesn't show talent. I will also say that I don't like the ESPN Fantasy League because it told me to pick up Ty Johnson over Ray Davis in my league because I had Cook and he was out. And the league was like, no, Ty Johnson's the better bet. If I picked up Ray Davis, I wouldn't have had to watch 3/4 of that game because I didn't want to watch 3/4 of that game the way they were kicking field goals and those freaking referees. That's a whole nother convo that we could sit here for an hour going on. But Buffalo comes out of that game with a win, takes a nice assertive lead in the division. Miami's hurting. Jets are hurting. Who's the other team in the division? New England. We ain't even talking about them for a while.
And Miami.
So Buffalo goes out and makes a trade for one of the best route runners in the league in Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper to me is quiet, but never heard anything bad about him as a teammate in Dallas when he played in Dallas. Always came and performed, played well. And Dallas just didn't want to pay him the $20 million, but it also sounds like he had some issues with ownership and the GM. Well, sorry, it's the same person in Dallas. But issues with how they run things in Dallas, which a lot of players feel. One of the reasons people think, no, I'll go down that hole and we'll never turn back. But the trade for Amari Cooper for Buffalo, I love this trade. I don't think Stephon Diggs was a really, really talented wide receiver, one of the best in the league. But I don't think Stephon Diggs ran routes as well as Amari Cooper can run a route. And a lot of people don't realize how important it is to run a crisp route and how easy it is to create separation for your quarterback to get you the ball. Amari Cooper's not blowing past anybody with some 4.2, 4.3 speed. But Amari Cooper will run a 7-yard dig route and you'll think he's going to try and blow past you. Like, that's a nice move for Buffalo. And I was surprised because I really thought Kansas City was the team that was going to go after and get him. Because I really thought that they know they have a Super Bowl roster and they've taken some really big hits on that roster. Adding a guy like Cooper would have gave Mahomes a guy that he probably never truly had. And Buffalo beats him to it. Now, do I think this is the piece that puts them over Kansas City? I'm not willing to go that far. I got to watch him actually play with Josh Allen. But really like that trade more than I like the Jets going after Davante, mainly due to the fact that Buffalo, I believe, did it to make their team better and make them more competitive as they go through the year, where I believe the Jets made the trade just to make Aaron Rodgers happy. I
think you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head. That is absolutely exactly how I feel. Buffalo won. If you ask me who got made out in the better trade, I think Buffalo made out better. Pick up a really good wide receiver. They still have Keon Coleman. They still have Shakir. They still have other young talent there, but they have a guy now that he's going to run good routes. He's going to be, and then that's something where, again, timing-wise, it just helps the quarterback. And I think he'll be able to get on the same page quickly with Allen. And I think it's an upgrade for the Buffalo Bills, who now lead this division by a game and a half over the Dolphins. And the Jets are now third in this division, only a game ahead of where New England is, to be honest with you.
Wouldn't have thought that 3 weeks ago.
No, and what the Dolphins have been able to do, they actually won this week by having a bye week. Because they didn't have to play, but yet the Jets still fell behind them. They still made out. And it gave Tua, believe it or not, I'm hearing that he's going to have another year, or going to be back at some point this year.
I've heard the same.
So I think the Dolphins I still think the Jets could be the third best team in this division all year long. And I don't think that's good enough to get them in the playoffs when you have the Ravens, the Steelers, even Cincinnati's been playing better the last 3 weeks. You have the Texans. There's no way they're leapfrogging these other teams, even with the expanded playoffs we have now, 7 teams from each, conference getting in. I still don't think they have enough to get there. I don't think this puts the Jets over the top the way I think this actually puts the Bills in a better spot, especially come playoffs. If they go into the playoffs healthy, they're going to be a tough out for anybody, especially if you got to go to Buffalo and play. So right now they're fighting with the Texans, they're fighting with Baltimore and Pittsburgh for the top of the conference, and that's right where the Bills want to be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so Kansas City as well. You can't forget Kansas City as well.
No, and I think we're all going to agree, like, as long as Mahomes stays healthy, like, everything's going to go through Kansas City. Do you see any other wide receivers getting traded, and if so, who could the Chiefs possibly target? I know I'm throwing this at you last second, so if you don't got somebody, it's okay. But I'm just looking at it like, and by the way, we got something we got to get into real quick about this week as well. But I'm just wondering, who would you say? Wide receiver on Tennessee, Calvin Ridley. Yeah. I mean, they're 1-4 right now. I think it's becoming very clear very quickly. Will Levis or Levi I think it's Levis, right? He's not an NFL starting quarterback.
No.
Could he be a backup and play a couple snaps when your guy gets dinged up a little bit, or maybe fill in for a game or two and have a defensive coordinator that didn't prep for him and be able to come out and play well for a game or two? Maybe. And that's still a big maybe to me. Like, watching him play, because I was watching, Red Zone kept cutting back this Sunday to the Colts-Titans game that was going on at 1 o'clock. So you got to see him play, and his ability to read defenses, his ability to time his throws, it's not there. And this was your 5th game of the year. You played almost half the season last year, or around half the season last year. So you can't call it a lack of experience at this point. So I could see Ridley, and they don't even get him the ball. So you sign him to this contract. Like, if a team's willing to take him, right? But that's one player I could see getting traded. Outside of that, there's no real wide receivers that come to mind. I mean, if Cincinnati ends up by the trade deadline in a position where making the playoffs seems a far-fetched concept, maybe they trade Higgins so they don't have to give him a contract extension because they don't want to. Maybe. That's about the only other name I could think of. But, yeah, besides that, I mean, this week for me was miserable. I don't even want to talk about the Cowboy game. I think the bigger story after the Cowboy game was Jerry threatening the jobs of radio hosts for asking him fair questions about how the team has looked so far and how bad that loss was on Sunday. He literally threatened
we lost on his birthday. Wasn't his birthday?
Yeah, and he deserves it.
He was not happy. So that's why I actually want to ask you, who's on the hotter seat? Is it McCarthy with Dallas, or is it Dable with the Giants?
McCarthy.
Because I think Dable could go at any time. If this team loses the next 2 games, which could easily happen, they may lose the next 4 in a row.
Well, I mean, if they go to 2 Andrew Thomas is going on IR. He's done for the year.
That's what I mean. We're playing the Eagles, so you chalk that up. We're going to be 2-5.
And if Saquon goes off on the Giants, bro, oh my God!
Oh, yeah. It's going to be so bad.
It's going to be so bad.
So bad. I'm wondering who's on the hotter seat. And I know you want to say McCarthy, but I think that's coming from a Cowboy fan. I'm saying Dable, but I think that's coming from a Giant fan.
The only reason why I think I realize I keep coming off camera, which is probably beneficial for anybody watching us on YouTube right now, that they don't have to see this mug. But the main reason why I would say, and on a non-biased perspective,
Eagles, Steelers, Commanders. Tell me where the win is there for the Giants.
Honestly, I think their best chance for the win is actually against the Eagles, because the Eagles could barely beat Cleveland. I don't think I've said this numerous times. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. I just don't. I think he can throw a nice.
About the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. But he can throw a really nice deep ball, but to read a defense and go from read 1, 2 to 3, I don't think he has that ability. He can get his ass shoved from behind so that he can gain 2 yards.
But does he need much more than that this week?
600
honestly,
yards.
But does it honestly
probably not? But still.
So at 2-7, you're going to tell me that you don't think that there's a good chance. And then
Look,
I bet you, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to die on this hill. I think the loser of the Cowboys Giants
on
Thanksgiving gets fired. That's what I think, because
talk
if
about
Jerry
a Black Friday.
Because if Jerry loses not only on his birthday, not only with all the pressure, but if the Cowboys are anywhere near 500 or below 500, and especially if that game puts them below 500, I could definitely see him getting to a point where he's like, McCarthy, you're out.
Well,
and if the Giants get to that point, because again, I don't see much of a win in the near future outside of maybe the Commanders if they can catch, if they can contain Daniels, maybe the Panthers, possibly the Bucks, depending on, but they're still playing really good football. I mean, there's a good chance that if the Giants are the team that come in and they're way under 500 and knock the Cowboys off on Thanksgiving, then I could definitely see McCarthy going the next day. But if the Giants lose that game, how do you come out of Thanksgiving being, 3-7 or 2-8 or whatever it's going to be and expect to keep a job? Like, I just don't see it happening, especially with the heat that's come on the Giants this season. Dable is going to be gone at the end of this year if they don't turn things around. I mean, I don't see any way they keep him.
Needless to say, right, neither one of us have had, when it comes down to real football, the greatest start to the year. It's been a rough ride.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why, though, I would say McCarthy over Dable is simply the fact that after last year's blowout loss to Green Bay in the playoffs, Jerry refused to give McCarthy an extension. Jerry refused to give him an extension. So he's playing on the last year of his deal. Dable, I believe, is this year and next year, which doesn't mean a damn thing for a head coach, right? They don't care. Like, look at Saleh. The Jets are going to pay him like $20-something thousand per week for the next, 3 years because they fired him on his contract, right? Owners don't give a crap because that money doesn't count against your cap, right? But I do believe that's what separates McCarthy and Dable is the fact that Jerry basically said to himself, this is your ride or die year. So if he sputters out halfway through the year, he went and hired a guy that was a head coach for 8-9 years in Zimmer to be the defensive coordinator, which is just not going well at all. But why wouldn't you just move Zimmer into that position, let him ride that out, and then you just start all over with the coaching staff? Personally, I liked McCarthy. First time in Cowboys history, going back to 1960, first time in Cowboys history, they had 3 12-win seasons in a row. He brought Dak to another level. He made the offense a little bit more exciting, not a little bit, definitely more exciting than what you saw under the Garrett years. But that wall that's there isn't the coach. It's not the coach. It is Jerry Jones.
But that's not going to change.
No, it's not going to change. Jerry's not firing himself.
But here's where I want to get at you, because for years we said the same thing about Dolan in New York. Got to sell the Knicks. Got to sell the Rangers. Dolan's killing his team. Dolan. Is it really Jerry, or is it just that Jerry hasn't found the right guy to come in and run the ship yet? Because that's really what it took for the Knicks. They tried to go out and they spent a ton of money on Phil Jackson, and it bombed in their faces. But you know what? Next time around, he got it right with Leon Rose. And what Leon Rose has been able to do with the Knicks has been unbelievable. And now you don't hear about Dolan anymore. You don't hear about it anymore.
He went and hired a
I'm
GM.
wondering I'm wondering if whether Jerry maybe doesn't go out and hire a GM, but just turns the GM role over to his son
Will
or whatever.
McClay, baby. That's who I want. Every Cowboy fan wants him to turn it over to Will McClay, because Will McClay is their director of scouting. All roster, but Will
he's
McClay,
not going to do that. He'll turn it over to family, not turn it over to anybody.
But the thing is, and you can ask. There was a quote this past summer, or maybe the summer before, Dalton Schultz, when he left Dallas and went to Houston, and he literally was like, "You're basically on display when you play for the Cowboys. You're not your locker room. The weight room has a glass wall, so when people do a tour of the Star, they can walk by and see their favorite players working out. Mm-hmm. They have a whole art gala that people come and look at. Jerry just flew in on his helicopter a week or two ago in the middle of practice and interrupts practice. Jerry is the problem because Jerry is more about marketing, branding, and making money than winning football games. He wants tours to come to Dallas Stadium. He wants people to come there and spend money just to look at the players like they're animals in a zoo. That is where the Cowboys' problem lies. Players that go there.
But with you knowing that's never going to change, At what point
Dallas
then
doesn't win a Super Bowl, and I hate to say this, I don't wish this, and I'm not. He's not. They're not winning a Super Bowl until he dies. It's not
he crosses the rainbow bridge.
Like until he's not walking this planet anymore. And I'm not saying I hope that happens. No. Yes, I would love to watch Dallas win a Super Bowl, but I would not wish death on anybody.
No.
And Jerry Jones has never actually personally did anything to me. I'm the one that chooses to let the Dallas Cowboys impact my life. I make that decision. Right.
So when are you gonna stop making that decision?
I stopped a couple years ago. Like I no longer let a loss carry into the week. I used to be pissed until like Wednesday or Thursday. Now, if Dallas loses a game, like for example, this game against the Lions where they literally got smacked around their home stadium, and the Lions were literally drawing up plays for their offensive linemen to score touchdowns. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they ran a hook and ladder to an offensive lineman that only got called back because another offensive lineman was downfield too far. That to me was it. Shut it off. I was done. Switched over to a show, Agatha, whatever, on Disney Plus. Watched that with Amanda for a little bit. I was done. The only thing the Cowboys do for me is if they look that embarrassing, like if they lose a close game, I'm good. But when they get embarrassed like that, the only thing Dallas does is it ruins football the rest of the day for me. I don't watch Red Zone. I don't watch any other games. I'm just checked out because I don't need it. I'll watch something else and I wake up Monday and I'm fine. And I work with a whole bunch of people that are big sports fans, and they know me. They don't come talk shit to me because they know I'm not one of those idiotic Cowboy fans that are like, oh, we got hosed by the refs or BS or this, that. I don't think like that. Like, I watched the game, and Dallas got owned by Detroit. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's all that needs to be said. But I'm taking McCarthy on a hotter seat. But if we're saying hotter, like, McCarthy's like at 100 degrees, I'd put Dabo at like 92. Like, I'm not saying they're far. But I do think Dable, having that first year, bought him a little more leeway with fans and that team. And the guys on that team play for him. That game against Cincy, they could have rolled over. They still played tough. Daniel Jones doesn't throw that stupid interception at the end of towards the end of the game, and they kick a field goal. Now it's 17-10.
Don't make excuses for him.
But I'm just saying the team plays for him. Dallas gave up on Sunday.
The team doesn't really play for Dable anymore. I got to be honest. I think he's lost that cachet he came in with. I think he's lost that little bit of bravado, that little bit of because when he came in, he was the Dables, now he's not. Now he's a shell of himself, a guy who's scared of getting fired, a guy who's making wrong decisions. We literally lost the Washington game earlier this year because we did not have a backup kicker. When we knew our kicker was hurt during the week, we did not put a backup kicker on the roster.
Yeah, that's
53-man roster, couldn't find room for one extra kicker, knowing your normal kicker's hurt. Yeah. Sorry. Big Dable mistake there. He's made a bunch of different coaching mistakes, and because he's made all those mistakes, I think the team has lost faith in him. I think some of the players have lost faith. I think what they saw with, kind of the way that the offseason transpired with certain things, I think the defense got better, but I think the offense actually
go. I get what you're saying.
You let the face of the franchise go. You keep Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones hasn't been very good. I don't care. I know he's got better numbers than Rodgers, but that's not saying much.
No.
It's still bottom of the league. And it's still not good.
It's not helping right now because the Giants are starting to have injuries.
He hasn't thrown. I think I need to check, but I believe it's a touchdown in Giants Stadium in over 600 days.
That'd be so sad.
But I'm telling you, I think I tweeted it out.
Right, Thibodeau just went, is that how you say his last name? Kayvon Thibodeau, right?
Yeah.
He just went on IR for 4 weeks after getting surgery. Andrew Thomas had surgery. He's going on IR, out for the rest of the year. DeMarcus Lawrence and Burns are both did not practice today. So if they don't practice by Friday, they're out. Which lets you know that if that's the case, Saquon is going to run wild, and the Eagles are going to make it a point. But just to keep us moving on this week, I just want to get us one other thing I want to touch on, just because both of us can agree with this, and you're going to hit your button one more time. The Eagles fans chanting to fire Sirianni. And after they pull out the ugly win against Cleveland, My man turned to the fans and started talking shit to his own fans. Like, that man, I've said it for years now, that man has the most punchable face I've ever seen in my life. Like, never in my life have I seen a human being and said, I want to punch you in the face. Every time I see him on TV, that's literally all I can think. And I am not a violent human being. Not at all. Like, literally not at all. And still, that man makes me want to hit him in the face. Now, if I saw him in person, I'm obviously not going to just go punch him in the face. I'm not that kind of guy. But I would have the urge, and I am pretty sure I'd have a clenched fist seeing him. So that was crazy to me. They struggled to beat Cleveland. They looked like crap for the majority of the game. They hit a couple deep balls to Smith and A.J. Brown. And they pull out a lucky win against arguably one of the ugliest teams to watch play football right now in the Cleveland Browns. And
they get Nick Chubb back this week.
They do, but Deshaun Watson's still their quarterback.
But I think they get an upgrade in the run game, though. So that's
Deshaun
what I do
Watson's
think. I think they got a little. He's still the quarterback, but eventually, when do they get rid of him? But speaking of which, how the hell? Because what surprised me more than him still being the quarterback, because again, I get it. They're paying him so much money. You have to put him out there. What the hell? Because I've never seen a move like this from. It's not a Steeler move. It's not a Tomlin move. How do you bench Fields at this point? How do you bench? He's 4-2 to start the year, and you're gonna bench him for Russell Wilson, who is arguably not an upgrade at this point in his career. This isn't again Russell Wilson from 10 years ago. This is Russell, or 12 years ago. This is Russell Wilson now. And Justin Fields is winning football games, actually playing pretty decent. I really don't understand, and I needed to explain to me a little bit because to me that's the biggest shock this week, more than any of the trades or anything else. How do you bench a quarterback that's 4-2 to start the year and playing well?
As far as I know, he's only taking some first-team reps in practice. He's not officially named the starter. I believe they're still going with Fields as the starter this week. I don't know for sure, but when I talk with my buddy, shout out to James, when I talk with him, like, I brought it up. He's like, look, I still think Fields starts this week, but if he's struggling or the offense is struggling, Tomlin would make the move to Wilson. But I don't think Wilson's starting this week.
But why would you make that move at all? At least Fields allows you more flexibility, at least because he's more athletic, he's younger. Like, you're going to bring in a less mobile quarterback when you're already a run-heavy team. Why wouldn't you just keep it to where, because Fields can move with his legs, if he needs to. I don't understand this move. I think maybe it was a conditioned, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys are right, and he doesn't start this week, and it's, Fields does start this week and Russell Wilson doesn't. But why they're giving him first-team reps, I don't understand at this point. You're almost halfway through the year. You kind of have your team going in a direction already. Why would you change that at this point? Because the offensive line's going to need to make adjustments. Everybody's going to need to make adjustments. Why would you put that on your team this late in the year?
Well, and the threat of the running quarterback, Russell Wilson's no longer a running quarterback. He can scramble, but he's not a threat as a running quarterback like Justin Fields is. I agree. I would keep Fields in unless he starts playing really, really bad football. But speaking of bad football, the first two games of NFL Week 7, I want to apologize to the fans that are out in London for the crap that they're going to have to watch on Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And we've had a couple good Thursday night games.
That's got to be the shit show of the week. I got to be honest. That's the one I'm picking then because we haven't picked that, but that's the shit show of the week.
I think both Thursday night and Sunday morning games are both shit shows. That is going to be two teams.
Why? Just because Spencer, or because they got Rattler starting instead of.
Yeah, and there's nothing about what's his name in Denver that makes me say that guy's a future Pro Bowl quarterback. Bo Nix.
He's played better than some have. I mean, he's not. He doesn't have the start that Jaden Daniels did, but
I mean, I agree. I think if it's like gun to the head, which game is going to be uglier to watch? I think it is the New England Jacksonville game being played in London.
Yeah, and to wake up at 8:30 in the or 9:30 in the morning for that crap East Coast time, you have to wake up at 6:30 a.m. if you're in California to watch that game. And I'm sorry, I don't care how big a football fan you are. I don't care how big a gambler you are. I don't care how much into fantasy football you are. If you wake up at 6:30 a.m. to watch that game, you're sick. You need help.
Yeah, no, you seriously need help.
I'm gonna play it one more time because
stop it. Get some help.
Really, you need help if you're waking up for that game. They're both garbage. Now, granted, Jacksonville should be better. They spent the week there because they were there for last week's game as well, where they got
that's like their home
smacked
away
in the
from
face
home,
by the
basically.
Bears.
Yeah.
So they should be a little bit more acclimated to being there. So with that said, I mean, I'm going to throw that out as my first game, the game of the week, the shit show of the week. I'm going to take Jacksonville over New England, but I'm sure as hell not going to watch it because, I mean, again, may turn it on once I get up in the morning and like throw it on in the background, but that's not something I'm getting up to make sure is.
Also, like you mentioned, like fantasy. How many fantasy players are on those two teams?
I'm trying to think of anybody from.
ETN's been garbage for Jacksonville. The rookie wide receiver.
I think I actually picked up Trevor Lawrence in one of the leagues to start this week.
I have him on my bench in my one league where I have Burrow.
I think it's because Dak's on a bye this week, right?
Dak's on a bye.
So I think I have him instead of Dak.
I'm going for the one of the games that I think we should pick. I have a starting quarterback in, so
pick it then. Let's go. I mean, it's only me and you.
So Jacksonville, we got to go rapid fire.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville, New England, you are.
I'm Jacksonville.
You're Jacksonville. I'm Jacksonville as well. Jacksonville's home away from home is Wembley Stadium, and B, they have the better quarterback, and C, New England just is.
I think the
is
more interesting thing about this game, and I'm just going to throw it out there before we move to the next one, the over-under 42.5. I think that's more interesting than actually the line on the game because I don't think either of these offenses are very good. So I don't know. I think the under on that, I like it. But that's the most interesting thing about that matchup to me is can either of these teams score?
Because honestly, the first team to 17 is probably winning this game.
Probably.
Right. But then again, like the way football is, this will be a 35-20, 31 shootout because guys can't tackle or defensive scores, special teams, whatever. So I am Jacksonville as well with you on that one. There's several good games: Seattle, Atlanta, Houston, Green Bay. But I got to pick because I in replace of Dak Prescott this week, I believe, and I should double check.
Your mom, shout out to Mama H in the chat saying they're not allowed back in the U.S. till they win. So shout out Mama H. Yeah, no, they are. They shouldn't be allowed back. To be honest, though, if they ever had an expansion team in London, it would probably be Jacksonville going there.
I completely agree because Shad Khan, the owner of Jacksonville, owns one of the soccer club teams.
So I think that
London,
you're not far off there, Mama H, with them not coming back because eventually they're probably going to be there just permanently. And so that I just wanted to throw that in there. I saw that in the chat.
So the game I'm going with is because I have him playing in place of Dak Prescott and possibly in place of Dak Prescott for the remainder of the season if Dak continues to play the way he's playing, is Sam Darnold and the undefeated Minnesota Vikings hosting maybe the NFC favorite Detroit Lions.
I think either Fife or Joey.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, because I all those texts I didn't get to them until like later.
Yeah, so Joey picked the Minnesota-Detroit game.
Okay, so we won't pick that.
And Joey is going Detroit even without Hutchinson, which, by the way, prayers to him for a speedy recovery because you never want to see a guy go out due to injury. You never want to see somebody get hurt on the field. You want to beat the other team, obviously. You want to beat whoever you're playing, but you never want to see the guy get hurt. And kind of a weird incident because I think it actually was his leg slamming into like his own player's leg. It wasn't even like he got bent weird.
Because he hit Dak and kind of like went up and his foot caught his teammate and just that video was brutal.
Right? I believe is what he snapped.
Tibia and fibia.
Yeah, so
had emergency surgery at a Dallas area hospital. stayed overnight there.
That's a big loss for Detroit.
He had to spend a couple days in Dallas because they had to let things settle before he could fly on a plane and deal with the air pressure. So, sucks for him too, because I think he was the Defensive Player of the Year favorite after 5 weeks. And he played a hell of a game against Dallas as well. So, all right, so Joey picked that game. So I'm going to take Detroit to win that game. I saw that Fife went with Philly, New York. I'm going to take Philly to win that game. So give me Detroit, Philly, and Jacksonville so far. So then we'll bubble it up.
Wait, then I gotta give you mine then.
I'm sorry.
I'm going Jacksonville. I'm also going Detroit, and I'm going Philly. So I mean, I think it's kind of a little bit of a clean sweep here so far.
But I do think Detroit, Minnesota is going to be an amazing game. It's a division game, so a lot of people I think are going to be expecting this shootout. I think it'll be a little tighter
50.5
contest.
is the over/under.
So I think it'll be a little bit of a tighter contest, but I definitely could see both teams at least hitting 21 points. So it'll be interesting to see. Detroit's defense without Hutchinson, that's going to be very interesting to watch. So instead of that game, I think we got to go with Houston, Green Bay. If you took the Madden franchise, right, with updated rosters and you simulated.
You got KC San Fran there.
I know, but we like. All right. I'm thinking rapid fire here because I think we do Seattle, Atlanta, Green Bay, Houston. And then we do KC, San Fran.
You gotta throw it. You gotta throw in the last 2 games too. The prime timers are good.
All right. So
anyway, we're gonna pick a bunch this week. Next week we're changing the format.
Yeah, we'll do it really quick. Yeah. So give me Seattle on the road against Atlanta.
I'm going Atlanta at home. They've been playing too well.
Give me Green Bay at home against Houston.
Give me Houston. I think Houston's one of the better teams in the league. I think they have a great young roster, and I like what they're doing. Plus, the Mixon's playing. So, give me Houston.
Green Bay through 5 games has 27 turnovers, or no, 17 turnovers.
Xavier McKinney, I think, might even be leading the league in interceptions. By the way, shout out to the Giants front office. Woo!
So,
killing it.
Give me Green Bay. You're taking Houston. All right. Kansas City at San Francisco. Kansas City coming off of their bye. San Francisco coming off of the Thursday night game. So in a kind of a mini bye week. So both teams well rested. Still, Kansas City still pretty beat up. San Francisco, doubtful McCaffrey comes back for this game. So both teams missing some key pieces. Kansas City, San Francisco. I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I'm going Kansas City. On the road, I think it's a tough game. 425, which I like. I think there's a lot of good games this week, but yeah, give me Kansas City on the road. I just think that they're just playing too well right now. I think they're a team on a mission for a three-peat.
I completely agree with the team on a mission for a three-peat. I think San Francisco is trying to separate themselves from the rest of the NFC and keep pace with teams like Detroit and Minnesota. I'm going to take San Francisco at home. I think they can beat Kansas City in the regular season. They just can't beat them in the Super Bowl. All right, so our Sunday night game, New York Jets at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to take the Jets.
No chance. And again, this to me is like Joey last week when he was hyped, saying, "Oh, with the Jets, they're going to get some kind of boost off of Ulbrich. They're going to rally around him this week. They're going to." It's kind of the same bullshit you're hearing this week. Oh, they traded for Davante Adams. This team's going to be hyped. They're going to be excited. Guess what? They're playing Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, what are they known for? Defense.
Look at that over-under.
38.5. I don't think the Jets are going to score enough. I don't care who's playing quarterback for Pittsburgh. You want to know why? Because Pittsburgh has a philosophy. Run the ball and play defense.
Jets struggle against the run and can't pass protect.
So what do you think TJ Watt's going to do? Nah, he's going to be feeding all day in the backfield.
I'm still taking the Jets.
I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think that this is one where I'm going to die on that hill. I'm locking that in.
Yeah,
I just don't see any way. I'm telling you, this divide is getting deeper with the Davante Adams trade. It's not going to go well.
Outside of the Jets not winning a Super Bowl, I don't think there's any hill I would die on that involves the Jets. It's the Jets. But all right, so and then our one of our 2 Monday night games, Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been playing lights out. Baker Mayfield has been playing some great football. His wide receivers are playing well. They have a 3-headed monster at running back. Defensively, they're bend but don't break for the most part. And then you've got the MVP of last year and arguably the MVP so far this year, Lamar Jackson's led Baltimore Ravens, but heading on the road down to Tampa Bay. First home game after that area got struck hard by those hurricanes. Hope everybody's doing well. I've talked to several people down there, and thankfully nobody I'm close with has dealt with anything other than a little loss of power and maybe a tree knocked down, but no damage to their homes or their cars or their family or loved ones. So hope more and more people are able to tell stories like that in the Tampa area. But Baltimore at Tampa Bay, you get to go first on this one, my friend.
I can't bet against King Henry right now. Like, I can't go against him. To me, he's too damn good. And the run that they finally figured out, we feed this man the ball, and he
does things.
He does things.
But he was too expensive for Jerry Jones to pay him $8 million a year. But anyway,
he was too expensive for the Titans not wanting to keep him.
Yeah,
he could have been a lifer. He could have been the greatest Tennessee Titan to ever live. And instead, you now have old Oilers that are still the greatest Titans to ever live, and like guys like Eddie George and Warren Moon. I mean, Henry will go down there, but if he wins the title with Baltimore, he's going to be known in Baltimore. Yeah. He's going to be a hero in Baltimore. And what they're doing, I think Tampa's a really good team. I think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. I think they have a good chance to battle with Atlanta for the top of that division. I don't see him winning this week. Even at home, they got a chance. I'm not counting them out, but at the same time, I'm putting my money on Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and that Baltimore defense. So to me, I got to go Baltimore.
And I don't think I could say it any better than you said. I just Tampa Bay's playing some really good football, but that defense in Baltimore and that offense with Henry and Lamar is just it's hard to stop, and not many teams have been able to do it so far. So. With that, though, we're going to keep this moving. We've got a couple other things that we want to get to, right? So,
yeah.
shout out to the NHL. I'm going to swing over to that really quick because our boy Fife is unable to join us today, or Larry Schmelrose.
I actually got. Do I have a sound for that now?
I don't know. There we go. So, what I want to do is, instead of diving into what we've seen so far, since really the season's just getting going, I mean. Most games played are 6.
No, I think is that what the Devils have? 6
yeah,
games
the most games played so far are 6. Devils tied with the Dallas Stars and the Calgary Flames for most points so far with 8. But focusing on our local teams, Devils first place in the division right now. Rangers second place in the division. Rangers have played 3 less games than the Devils have and don't have a single loss. They've got 2 wins, an overtime loss, an overtime loss
to that Utah Hockey Club.
Which
has had a really good
exists.
start. The Devils gave them their first loss, I know that, but the Utah Hockey Club is 3-1 with that one loss being the Devils.
Let's go, baby. So our local teams are off to a good start. The Islanders.
You got a couple of sweet new sweatshirts too. One's definitely going to get Fife angry. It's a Hughes sweatshirt. I got a Hughes sweatshirt, and I got an old school Rangers Messier sweatshirt as well. So
you were too
he's
much.
gonna hate.
I appreciate supporting the local teams. I just don't do it outside of the Devils. So and the Mets, I'll say that. But speaking of the Mets, right? And then we got the Yankees.
We got the Mets.
We got playoff baseball, and we've got the Mets 1-1. With their first home game of the series
playing
tonight.
right now, by the way.
Actually, are they? Okay,
yeah.
So let's see if we can get a live score update.
Or it might be coming up.
8:06 is first pitch, so we're about 4 minutes away from first pitch. But 1-1 in that series. Mets,
Dodgers blew them out of game 1.
They did, and the Mets. But the one
answered
thing,
back in game 2.
That's the one thing. Like everybody knows, right? I'm not a big baseball guy, but the one thing that I've realized and seen with the Mets is their resiliency. They don't put their heads down, even when they're losing in a game. They still believe they can come back and win that game. So their resiliency showed in that game too in Los Angeles, and what we see tonight could really, I mean, I don't know about the statistics in baseball, especially with how long it's been around, but I know like in basketball, right, when they had just a best of 5, whoever won game 3 went on to win the series like 91% of the time, right?
I know, but 2-0, like the Yanks are 2-0. I heard the stat today. 2-0 teams are 85% chance.
So
to win
like
the
they're
series.
putting,
So,
like we have the potential with a Mets win tonight to have the odds
On favorite, yeah.
favorites to meet each other in the World Series, which a Subway Series in the World Series, that is something I will watch. That is something I will pay attention to. But overall for yourself, between the two series, what stuck out to you so far? What's really gotten you going, even just as a Yankees fan? Anything you've seen from the Mets that's really stuck out to you? What stuck out between these two series so far?
The thing that stuck out the most was what are the Dodgers doing with their celebrations?
Oh,
I gotta be honest.
The crotch to crotch.
I got
right?
when have you ever in sports? Like when have you ever in sports? Like I've seen the patting on the ass. I've seen all of it. I have never seen two guys go in thrusting each other before.
Yeah, that was
full on tip to tip. I've never seen that before, and I got to be honest, I'm not a fan of it.
That was
so you want to see what sticks out to me? I'm going, what did I just see there?
Yeah, that was new.
And then but if you watch as he's coming around the base, so before the tip touching, when he's coming around third, he whacks the third baseman in the nut, or the third base coach in the nuts too. I'm like, what are you doing grabbing his junk? And then you're coming in here, tip touching. I don't understand what the Dodgers are exactly doing with this. I mean, it's propelling them. Maybe,
Before he got to home plate and did the tip touching.
It's what it is. I don't understand it. You're asking me what sticks out other than the Yankees winning. Their tips touching sticks out to me.
Did it stick out more before or after the touching?
Theirs was sticking out the whole time. I didn't get it. I don't understand what I'm seeing. I know LA's a little bit liberal. I know LA, they got what they do there. I'm not trying to get in their business, but why are you putting the business on the field?
To each their own, but
exactly. But I don't know if we need to see that. That's not the type of celebration that I think we need around here. You know what I mean? But I mean, you can't. Ohtani's ridiculous. Although I think he's not played too well in the postseason so far. Rest of the team, I mean, the Dodgers and the Yankees, they were the two best teams around.
And neither has Judge, but Judge had a big game too, right?
Yeah, he actually broke out, hit a home run. I mean, no doubter too. I mean, he hit it, a good ways. But I mean, the story of the Yankees, it really has been the Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, he's been a postseason beast. But if you could wake Judge up at this point, and if he gets going again, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
That's a problem.
And what they've been able to do, their pitching staff, that's the other thing that stuck out to me. And I'll say it as a Yankee fan, what they've done in the postseason pitching wise has been remarkable. Their bullpen has been unbelievable. Shy of the last two games where they gave up like a late run, but they were up by a bunch, each game. They gave up like a solo home run. Outside of those two runs, they've given up no other runs in the postseason. Clay Holmes, I heard an unbelievable stat about him today. He's only an inning and a third away from, or an inning and 2/3 away from setting a Yankee record for the most postseason innings pitched without allowing a run.
Wow.
To start a career with the Yankees.
That's a long history.
You know what I mean?
That's a long
But I'm just saying,
history.
like, more than even Mariano. He would have the playoff, the Yankee record for starting a career with the most amount of scoreless innings pitched. He's an inning and a third away. He may get there. Cleveland's tougher at home. Cleveland was the number one team, I think, in the league at home this year. Had the most wins. Yankees were the best road team this year. So both teams playing to their strengths. And so those are the things that stuck out to me. 2-0 Yankees, 85% chance to win. It's not over yet. Listen, I've watched the Yankees be up 3-0 and lose. So I've seen all the heartbreak before, so I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. Subway Series would be cool. If we play the Dodgers, I'm cool. I just want to get there. I don't want to think about who we're playing next. I just want to think about, that's where I am as a Yankee fan. Like, 'cause I think a lot of people are getting ahead of themselves. It's a cool thought to think about, but at the same time, like, once you start thinking ahead, you worry about what's in front of you now, and then that's when you trip up. So I just want to get through this Indian series, and then whoever we play, I'm going to be happy because this would be the first time I've had a chance to see the Yankees back in the World Series since 2009. So. And outside of the Liberty, maybe the best chance to win a title. So, I mean, they're not going to have another path like this to get to the World Series again. Like this was, they didn't have to go through the Orioles. They didn't have to go through the Astros. But they could run into a really hot Mets team that's been the hottest team since June 1st. or they could end up against a really stout Dodgers team that has arguably the best player, other than Aaron Judge in the world in Shohei Ohtani. So it's either way.
So what do you think baseball would prefer? Like MLB as a whole, Judge versus Ohtani, and being able to put your two big names against each other.
That's what they want.
Or Mets Yankees, where you put your biggest market and the two teams that play in it against each other.
You want to put, if it's the MLB and the MLB had their way, it would be Yankees Dodgers, and it would be because you would get the two biggest cities, the two biggest fan bases to tune in, and that's the way. Like the Yankees are more national, Dodgers are a little bit more national as well. You would get the most eyeballs on that.
Yeah.
You would get all of New York's eyeballs on a Subway Series. You would get all of the whole tri-state area. You'd probably get, a lot of the
East Coast and some spots around the country.
The West Coast, I don't think they'd pay attention because at that point they're moving on to football and whatever else. So I think for MLB's sake, it would be Yankees Dodgers. I think for a Yankee fan or a Met fan, it may be Yankees Mets just for that Subway nostalgia. Either way, I just want to get there.
Fair enough.
Let's go Yankees.
So speaking of getting there, we are there when it comes down to the WNBA Finals. Longer season than normal due to the Olympics, but we have a 1-1 series right now. But ironically enough, New York has had a 14-point or larger lead in both games 1 and 2 in New York. They end up blowing an 18-point lead in game 1 and losing by 2 to Minnesota in overtime. They hold on to a nice lead and beat Minnesota in game 2, 80-66. So now we got game 3 that actually should be going right now, early into the first quarter, in Minnesota. It's a 1-1 series. It's a 5-game series.
Next year they go to 7.
Next year they're going to 7. Yeah, we touched on that a couple weeks ago. Because why? Because nobody talks more WNBA.
Nobody.
Than die on this hill, baby. Nobody.
WNBA. It's where you come for your WNBA.
The Liberty have to take at least one game in Minnesota to bring home court back to them, right? And basically either this would be the game you want to take, right? They lose this game, backs against the wall on the road, and you got to win on the road or your season's over, and you lose to this team 2 years in a row in the NBA Finals. So we're rooting for the Liberty in this building, right? I don't support many local teams. I'm going to be pulling for the Liberty. If it was, I'd be pulling for Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese if they were playing, just because love seeing the rookies do what they did this year so far. But Brianna Stewart playing for the Liberty, probably nearing the end of her career. She probably maybe has a couple years left. So would love to see that. So I'm pulling for them. But yeah, we got a 1-1 series, game 3 taking place tonight on ESPN. So if you're out there and you need something to watch after you're done watching us, I suggest you go pop that game on. Support the women. They really actually play a classic brand of basketball. The basketball that was played when the game really first started. They play more of that classic game, the ball movement and things like that. So go Liberty. Go New York, go, right? That's the only way you'll ever hear me say that is talking about the New York Liberty. Never will say that about the team he's got on his chest right now. But you'll also, one thing you'll never see us do is a tip-to-tip bump. Get your crotch away from me.
No, it's just going to show the back. So you got Ewing on the back.
I thought you were about to be like, let's end this show like this.
We're never going to. I can promise whoever is listening to us, we will never, ever end the show like that.
So, I don't know about you, my man.
And I'm comfortable in my masculinity. I'm just saying, I just don't feel the need to be like,
you want to slap my ass and say good game. I'm all for it. Like let's
just
let's
don't
rock and roll.
Don't touch your tip.
Tip to tip don't need to happen. Don't need to happen. So before we go off down a wrong rabbit hole that gets us banned from YouTube, I'm gonna say this. You can follow me on Twitter, David Hastings 23. You can find me on Instagram, dhastings23. I doubt she's out there listening, but I do want to shout out my coworker Jenna. She pointed out to me the biggest flaw that I've been making while posting on Instagram is I just take a picture and I post it. She's like, you got to put stuff in your story. She's like, people are adapted to watching stories. People don't really scroll through Instagram, and the algorithm determines what pictures come to the top. But if you put it on the story, people will see it. So you got to put it on the story. So tonight, I put it on the story.
So
I'm interested next week to see what kind of stats we might have gotten.
Listen,
this
I'm
week.
hoping we're at 23 subscribers. I'd like to hit 25 tonight.
Two
With
more.
It's me and Dave. There's 2 of us here. Why not just give us those 2 more subscribers? You know, and then next week when Joey comes back, we'll add a 3rd one. We'll get to 26 maybe.
Let's
Who knows?
go.
But hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, share, all of those things. They just help us to grow. And, you know, why not? It's free. It's fun. Do it.
It's definitely fun. We talk about tip to tip.
Yeah.
Look forward to
I don't know
Joey.
if that's fun.
Nah, it depends on how. Hey, teach their own. Like you said, right?
The Dodgers are having fun.
Yeah, I mean, but we look forward to Joey D being back with us next week. We should be normal.
We got
with,
our
with
unofficial
Tuesday.
co-host here,
We got
Louie.
Louie. Come on, Louie. Come on.
You can follow him at Louie Aussie
That's
Dude
our
on
boy.
Instagram
That's
if you
our
want,
boy.
or you can follow us at Die on This Hill on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts, and you can follow me at The Living Legend on X. And until next time, don't be afraid to have an opinion
and
die on
that
this hill.
Let's go.